Hello. Welcome again to another episode. This is Kuda Biza, your host, and I'm here today. I'm going to be joined by two marvelous entrepreneurs. And I like this duo mainly because they focus on something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. And it is, how do you build a purpose-driven brand with clarity? Now, Kate and Channing have joined forces to really help you build your purpose-driven brand with clarity. And they're going to talk more about how they do it. And, Brand Pollinators, it's an amazing community that they've put together. I've been to a couple of the events. I'm a member of that community, and having seen some of the activity happening there and some of the value that they're bringing to some of these events, I was like, you know what? I need to bring them onto this platform. They need to share and spread the gospel about how purpose-driven brands can really thrive and succeed in the marketplace, and how we can all learn from each other, right? Brand pollinators, so cross-pollination of information. So I'm going to bring them on, and they're going to share a little bit about their story, how they got started, their vision, and some of the things that they're going to be doing over the next couple of years to really strengthen those connections between purpose-driven brands. So with that said, let me bring them on and welcome. How are you guys doing?
Hi, thanks. Doing well, Kuda. How are you?
I'm doing great. And it seems like you guys have coast-to-coast operations. So Channing, where are you guys based?
So I'm right outside of Atlanta in Athens, Georgia. So I'm on the East Coast. And then Kate is all the way over on the West Coast, right outside of Ventura, California.
That's awesome. So Kate, let's start with you. You started Brand Pollinators about 2 years ago. What was really the mission and the vision for starting this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So when Channing and I met, I mean, she says we're entrepreneurial soulmates. So when we first met, we just knew right away we were going to work together, and we had been working at a natural food company, and we had a lot of different experiences in the past working with startups in the natural food and natural space. And so we really saw a need for more collaboration between these purpose-driven brands. And we knew that, if we could build an ecosystem of these conscientious brands, then they could, help work together to collectively make a bigger impact. And so that was kind of the impetus for us building Brand Pollinators.
Wow, that's quite interesting. And Kate, back to you. How has the journey been so far?
Yeah, it's been so amazing. Like, we have had such a great time being able to talk with people all over the country about what they're building, and just kind of learning all these different really cool ways that people are either giving back to their communities, or, innovating in packaging, or, sourcing ingredients from regenerative farms. Like, there's just so many cool things that are happening that it's really fun to be able to talk to people.
Amazing. So I've had the opportunity to be on your community calls. I believe that's what you call them. So Channing, what brought up the idea of having these community calls? And number one, what has been kind of like the feedback you've received from attendees? And number two, what really gets you excited about these calls that makes you want to keep doing them?
So we started the community calls. The idea came to Kate and I as we were talking daily, as we usually do. And we were just we were talking about all of the shared issues that a lot of the founders that we work with have across industries. It was really quite fascinating to realize that these founders were struggling with the same issues, whether they were in media or in food production or in packaging. So we realized that there was an opportunity to identify an expert, host them on a community call, and provide value to our founders. And we do this once a month. And the feedback so far has been fantastic. We've heard that it's been very helpful. A lot of people are able to walk away from those calls and implement changes right away. We work with, it's very collaborative when we're on the call. So people are able to ask questions and really feel like they're seen and heard by the experts that we have, and then also the community that joins us.
That's interesting. So Kate, from what you've seen from the community calls, what type of value do you feel you need to bring more within the community, given what you've done so far and maybe what you see as a gap that needs to be closed between what current entrepreneurs who have purpose-driven brands, know and are kind of like struggling with, to things that you guys can bring to the table to help them grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the biggest values that we can bring is that we have such a vast experience from sales, marketing, operations, brand management. We've done a lot of different things, like hands-on, boots on the ground, helping build companies, and we've started our own companies separately from this as well. So I think our diverse experiences can really, we have this like a holistic lens that we're approaching business with. And so I think that being able to pull in pieces, because, like in the past, I think people have seen marketing specifically as like, an add-on, a nice to have sort of extra, but we see it as fundamental to the company. And, all the different aspects we really see as being integrated. And so I think on these calls, we've been able to bring in experts from different places so that, people can get an idea, okay, I know a little bit about this and how do I connect it? So we've had SEO experts. We've had somebody from Hive Brands, the head of sustainability. That was a really cool talk. And so it's really neat to be able to kind of draw some connections for people, and then also help them connect to experts, but then also help them connect to each other.
That's interesting. So Channing, when you and Kate kind of like partnered together, has the journey been what you guys have expected? Starting a business is never easy, and also working with purpose driven, like impact centered brands is probably not the easiest thing, mainly because they're not that many, right? Like, yes, it's a trend that's growing, but the vast majority of the companies aren't there yet. So I'm just curious to just get a sense as to, has it been what you thought it would be, or there've been a lot of roadblocks and obstacles along the 2 years, especially during the pandemic, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stories you can share around what you were expecting to be at, to kind of like what the journey actually has been.
Well, I can speak for myself, but Kate and I have also talked about this. I honestly think the journey is better than I would have expected. For years, I always knew I wanted to start my own company, but I knew I never wanted to do it myself. I had seen what it looked like for companies that were led by one person, and it's really difficult. And then I've seen companies that were led by two founders that were really aligned, and it really seemed like an ideal partnership, especially if you have complementary skill sets. And so that's when I met Kate, and I joke about us being entrepreneurial soulmates, because the moment I met Kate, I said, aha, I found my co-founder. I don't know what we're going to co-found, but I found her. So I think the journey has been better than expected, and we work so collaboratively, and we both thrive on like brainstorming and thinking of creative solutions to everyday problems. So we love working together.
So Kate, Channing was just saying that the journey has actually turned out to be better than what she expected. So I'm just curious, how has you coming together and working together been able to help you guys overcome some of the obstacles that you've faced in the 2 years that you guys have been working together?
Yeah, no, it's been really interesting because you learn a lot about someone when you work with them on a daily basis. And so I think that it's been really helpful to kind of learn what some of our strong suits are, and where we really like doing things, and then kind of on the reverse, maybe where the other person is stronger, where the other person prefers different things. So I think that's always a process, but I think it's been really beneficial to work through that and figure out how to work best and most efficiently. There's been, we haven't really had any, I mean, I'm sure we've had major challenges, but it just doesn't seem like it, because we kind of address things when we see them, and we talk through them, and we figure it out. And, that kind of old saying, like, don't go to bed angry. It's like, we want to figure it out, and we don't want to have this like weird animosity, or like, we don't want to have one person be upset, like, oh, we don't like this, I shouldn't have taken this client, or I shouldn't have done this. But I think we've done a pretty good job of like communicating pretty consistently, and kind of staying on top of things if we're not comfortable or something seems off.
So for you listeners watching, I think the key takeaway here is that communication is key with your co-founder and your team as you build a business, because as challenges come about, you really want to make sure that things that are here, you're putting it out there, and also things that your partner or your team members have, they're also communicating, because it is through that communication and idea exchange that you can actually solve whatever challenge that you might have. So I think it's really great perspective that you've shared, Kate, and I'm happy that the journey has been much better than what you guys have expected. And the key lesson there is communicating every day. Don't go to bed angry, because then it just perpetuates the problem. So Channing, if you were to kind of like come up with a recipe of like, hey, this is the recipe for like you to be a successful purpose-driven brand, what would it be? I love these recipe analogies because I'm in the cookie space, right? So we bake cookies with Nonbelievable and with our one-for-one model. So I'm just curious, if you were to be the chef or the baker in this case, what would be the ingredients you would love to have on the table to then really build a very strong purpose-driven brand that resonates in the marketplace?
I would say build the right team, or have the right co-founder to start. And I would say perfect the recipe before you take it to scale. And when I say that, I mean, test out your theories, your concepts in a really isolated way so that you can refine, iterate, and improve accordingly. What we see a lot of times is that companies try to go national too early on, and they haven't necessarily tested their thesis enough. So we're huge fans of making sure that you really test whether it's a product or a service in your own community first before you scale regionally and then nationally. So I would say build the right team first. We're assuming that you have a great idea, right? If it's a purpose-driven company, we're assuming that there's an honorable purpose at stake that you're fighting for. So that is first and foremost. Make sure the idea is impactful enough that it's worth the time and energy and money that it takes to build it. Then I would say build the team. And then third, I would say refine the recipe before you scale.
That's amazing. So you want to make sure you have the right team, right co-founder. You want to make sure you have a really good idea. Well, that's something that you assume that it's really strong. And you want to test and learn, right? So before you just stack them high and hopefully see them fly, you want to really start, dream big, start small, but then scale fast once you've validated and have some good proof of concepts in the back pocket to help you scale. So Kate, what piece of advice would you give to someone who's kind of like aspiring? They have like this idea, they're, a little bit nervous and, not 100% confident to move forward. How do they take that, first step to start actioning on their idea and vision to make it a reality?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I mentor a lot of like early stage entrepreneurs, and some of the things that are most important is like getting feedback. So if you have a product already, like getting a lot of customer feedback or people in that target audience to find out if this is something that's really going to resonate with them. Is this something they would actually pay money for? And then also ask other people in that space. So if you see somebody doing something similar to what you're looking to do, reach out to them, ask them what it's like, do kind of an informational interview so that you can learn kind of what the day-to-day looks like, what the challenges are that they might not have thought of, and kind of try to gain some insights there of what it would look like if you were to take that path.
Thank you. I think that's helpful. And then for someone who's watching and they have a purpose-driven brand, they feel stuck and they're looking for a resource. Channing, can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the products and services and offerings that you have that can help entrepreneurs? I know we spoke about the community calls and things like that, but what else do you guys do that could serve some of the listeners that are listening here, who are looking for experts like yourself to help them along the journey?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you feel stuck, reach out to someone in the industry or an adjacent brand or someone that is in line with what the purpose of your company is. Reaching out and, as Kate mentioned, doing informational interviews or just connecting with other founders and having a space that you can do that. So whether that's through Brand Pollinators, which that's what we're all about, is facilitating this collaboration between founders and companies, or if there's another business group, or if there's a local community group that you can join, I think connecting with other founders is the best way to get unstuck. So that is the best recommendation that I have for that. But with regards to Brand Pollinators, we, in addition to offering the community call, we'll do like drop-in consulting, which is something we're getting ready to get started because we want to be available to more founders more regularly. We also set up giveaways on social media with brands. And this is something that we think giveaways and social media can be more than surface level because that's what we do and that's what our brands do. So we leverage those tools in order to tell the stories of the products and of the companies in which we work with. So I would say collaboration is the best way to get unstuck, and it's also the best way to find inspiration and just other resources. And Brand Pollinators is offering kind of that in different formats.
Yeah,
Great.
we also do consulting as well. And so, if you're looking for more in-depth support, like foundational marketing is really our, key offering that we provide. And so, we can help clarify the brand at the core and, help develop customer personas or, some kind of roadmap for the quarter or for the year. Looking at different channels that you're looking to use for marketing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can provide consulting support as well on the marketing side.
Great stuff. So I'm always fascinated by people's habits, routines, because I feel like, your habits determine your destiny, right? So I'm just curious, what are some of the winning routines, you both have on a day-to-day basis that really kind of like set you up for, peak productivity and performance and, enables you to be on this path where you're crushing your goals? So we'll start with you, Kate.
Yeah. So we're all in on productivity and habits. I mean, we refine this a lot as we go, but there's a lot of different tools that we share so that we know, where we're keeping information and, using like Calendly to schedule things so that we can kind of keep ourselves aligned so we don't have to be constantly checking in with each other. So we have a couple different tools we use for that. I know personally, I get up pretty early. I do my workout or meditation or, writing or something first thing in the morning. And, I make time to make dinner every night. And, there's certain things that I preserve for my personal life that I think are really important, outside of work. And then Channing and I work together to figure out, how we preserve blocks of time for working versus brainstorming versus, meeting with people. So I think it's important to find that balance and then continue to refine it as you go based on, what's working and what's not.
Yeah, and this is something I've done a lot of work on because I think most people during this pandemic, we've realized the connection between kind of our mental health and our working like our professional health. And so I basically work out every single morning. I'm an early riser as well. I'll wake up at 5 or 5:30 every morning, and I start the day and I go to the gym right away. And then cold showers, vitamins, meditation, and I walk my dog at least 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm outside looking at the horizon, taking in, nature and just trying to be as present as possible. So that's kind of my checklist. Every morning I kind of think mentally, I go down the list. I'm like, okay, did you move? Did you meditate? Did you take your vitamins? Did you do all the things? And it's almost an experiment for me too. I'm trying to stack those habits to see, okay, how do I feel after doing all of these things for a week? Oh, I feel pretty good. 2 weeks. Wow, I feel really great. And then 3-4 weeks in, and then continue it. It just continues to grow from there. So I'm pretty diligent about doing those things.
So did I hear you right? You said cold showers?
Well, it's like a cold like finish to the cold shower. I haven't quite mastered like an entire shower cold because I do love like very hot water, but I've heard and read the benefits of a cold shower and how that can release a lot of the happy hormones in your body. And so I really try to make sure I finish like with a cold, like at least a cold rinse.
So in my book, The Spear Method, I actually talk about that routine where you do the hot and cold alternate. So there are many ways you could do that. So one way is you do your regular shower with the hot water. So think of it as like 2-3 minutes of the hot water. And then you do alternates where 30 seconds cold, 30 seconds hot, 30 seconds cold. You do it 3 times. And you always end on the cold because you kind of like do vasodilation, vasoconstriction, and, it really just helps your blood, to really pump, as well as the lymphatic system and all that stuff. More details are in the book if you want to read more about it, but I just found it quite curious and fascinating that you do that as well. And also, I follow Wim Hoffman. I don't know if you know Wim Hoffman. So in my house, I now actually have this Japanese tub where I, dump in ice. And when I go for like long runs, I come back and just jump into the ice tub. So he also has this breathing routine. I don't know if you know about it, but that also helps me as I'm getting ready in the morning. Like you, I'm an early bird. I usually wake up around 4. And then by like 6 a.m., I'm already kind of like at the desk. I spend, the first 2 hours of the day working out, journaling, praying, and all that stuff. So it's quite fascinating that you guys have similar routines. So I think we are routine soulmates. I think we can get to that consensus, right?
Sure.
I agree. And it's interesting because the more you take care of yourself personally, the better you can show up every day at work. And that's one thing I've realized is when I don't take care of myself, I'm not present for Kate, for our founders, for just in life in the way that I know I can contribute. So I think that we're routine soulmates for sure.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I want to close it out by at least you guys, each of you, just share one piece of advice for a listener who's listening right now, who might be an aspiring entrepreneur or their founder in their business. What word of advice you would like to share with them? It could be something that you got from a mentor, read from a book, whatever. So we'll start with you, Channing. What piece of advice would you like to share?
I have to say it's taking care of yourself because like we just talked about, I mean, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. And like a very solid routine where it's tapping into each of the things that you need, sleep being first and foremost, and you need to sleep like 7 to 8 hours. And then all of the other, like move, meditate, take your vitamins. I think taking care of yourself is the best advice that I could give anybody because I've seen the difference personally and in the other, people in my life as well. It makes a profound difference. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I would say just don't be afraid to try stuff, take risks. And I used to design websites. And so, people would really want to get it completely perfect before they launched it. And it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And guess what? Like nobody's going to go to your website the first day you launch it anyway. So I think that, there's this aspect of like getting an imperfect plan into action and just start moving in the direction you want to go. And if it's not perfect, it's fine. Like you'll get there. You'll iterate as you go, you get feedback, but don't be afraid to just try stuff and take the leap.
Awesome. Well, for people who want to connect with Kate and Channing and the whole Brand Pollinator movement, the link is going to be in the description. So feel free to go into the description and click the link below, and you'll be able to take a look at their beautiful website and see how they help build purpose-driven brands with clarity. And you can contact them on the contact form. I'll also drop in their Instagram account if you're more of like a social media person, and they post really amazing content too, by the way. So yeah, feel free to check them out. And ladies, it was a pleasure to have you guys here today, and looking forward to see what the future has in store for Brand Pollinators. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, Kuda.